The journey from Mecca to Medina was no ordinary trip. It was a grueling 450 kilometers route. 450 kilometers, and that too in the scorching Arabian desert. The hardest part was that it was the month of July, where temperatures exceed 50 degrees Celsius. But even the severe Arabian heat could not stop Ali from his mission. He continued walking alone toward the new home of Islam, the city of the Prophet, Medina. Even the fierce winds of the Arabian desert couldn't stop him. Seeing Ali's difficult journey reminds us of another journey, when, thousands of years prior, Prophet Musa walked alone out of Pharaoh's city into the hot desert of Egypt. Because these two journeys have one thing in common, both were almost exactly 450 kilometers. That day, Ali was advancing toward Medina alone, and due to walking so much, his feet were completely swollen and bleeding. But he could never have imagined that the very Medina he was struggling so hard to reach would one day be the place where the allegiance of the entire caliphate would be placed in his hands. A caliphate spanning from India to the seas of Europe. And that this lone walker, Ali, would one day become the most powerful man in the world. While Ali was on this journey, the Prophet and Abu Bakr had already reached the outskirts of Medina. But the Prophet PBUH did not enter Medina. Instead, he waited anxiously for several days in a village called Quba, just outside Medina. As soon as he found out that Ali had arrived after crossing the entire desert alone, he was overjoyed and ordered, "Bring Ali to me." But the companions told the Prophet, "Ali's condition is so bad that he cannot take a single step further, and his feet are no longer capable of walking." Hearing this, the Prophet personally went to Ali. He hugged him, and seeing the wounds on his feet, he began to weep. He rubbed his hands and saliva over Ali's feet, which brought Ali some relief. Finally, the Prophet entered Medina for the first time alongside Ali and the rest of the companions. And Medina became the first headquarters of Islam now that all the Muslims from Mecca had reached Medina to solve their food and housing issues. The Prophet PBUH declared one Muslim from Mecca to be the brother of one Muslim from Medina. The Prophet stood up, calling out the names of two Muslims at a time, making them brothers. After calling out everyone's names, when it was finally Ali's turn, the Prophet did not call his name. Seeing this, Ali became worried, wondering, "How will I live in Medina now?" He went straight to the Prophet and said, "You made everyone someone's brother, but left me completely alone." The Prophet replied, "O Ali, you are my brother in this world and the hereafter." There is also another tradition that the Prophet made Sa'd bin Hunayf, the brother of Ali, in Medina. After this, Ali continued living a normal life in Medina like an ordinary person. Shortly after this, a very dangerous time came upon the Muslims of Medina, the first battle of Islam, the Battle of Badr. An army of 313 Muslims stood against 1,000 disbelievers. This meant the Muslims came to fight an army 3 times their size. As the two armies faced each other, 3 leaders of Mecca stepped forward first. One of them shouted loudly, "O people of Medina, if you have any honor, come and fight us." Hearing this, 3 Ansar from the Muslim army stepped forward. But seeing them, the Meccan leader said, "Who are you? Go back and send our equals, our brothers from Mecca to us." Hearing this, Prophet Muhammad called his 3 Muslims back and sent 3 Muslim leaders to fight these Meccan chieftains. The Prophet commanded, "Arise, Ubaidah." Ubaidah was the grandson of the old Meccan leader Abdul Muttalib. Then the Prophet commanded, "Arise, Hamza." Hamza was the son of Abdul Muttalib. And finally the Prophet commanded in front of everyone, "Arise, Ali." Ali was a prince of Mecca, as both his father Abu Talib and his grandfather Abdul Muttalib had been great leaders of Mecca. So, upon the Prophet's command, these 3 Muslim warriors stepped forward. The duel began. First, Ali killed his enemy with a single strike. Then Hamza killed his opponent, and then Ali and Hamza teamed up and killed the 3rd leader as well. Seeing this, the Muslim army started chanting slogans loudly. These 3 Meccan leaders were not ordinary people. They were the father, uncle, and brother of Hind, the most powerful woman in Mecca. As soon as the Meccans saw their 3 great leaders fall so easily, the entire Meccan army attacked the Muslims. And thus, the first battle of Islam, the Battle of Badr, began. Ali also went back, stood at the front lines of the Muslim army, and waited for the enemies. At this time, Ali was only 23 years old, and this was the very first battle of his life. He had finally gotten the opportunity he had been eagerly waiting for. Ali had watched these Meccan leaders oppress the Prophet PBUH time and time again during his childhood. And now, Ali was fully ready to take revenge on every single one of them. As the battle began, Ali charged straight into the enemy army. The swordsmanship he had been learning since childhood was now being showcased to everyone for the first time. Seeing Ali fight like this, both the Muslims and the Meccans realized that there was no warrior in all of Arabia like Ali. And this was absolutely true, because from this Battle of Badr until the final battle of his life, the Battle of Narwan, Ali never lost a single battle. Even with a smaller army in Badr, the Muslims fought so fiercely that slowly the Meccan army began to retreat. And just like that, the Muslims won the first battle of Islam. But while the Meccans were fleeing, the Muslims chased them and captured another one of their leaders. This was no ordinary leader. This was Uqba from the Banu Umayyah tribe. This was the same Uqba who had tightly squeezed the Prophet's neck with his shawl in Mecca years ago. And Ali knew his face from childhood. So as soon as he was caught, Ali stepped forward and severed his head with his sword. In this battle, the Muslims killed 70 disbelievers. It is said that Ali alone killed 25 or 30 of these 70 people. While there is slight confusion among historians on the exact number of people Ali killed, it is clear that Ali killed the most enemies at Badr. When the Muslims returned to Medina after Badr, there was an atmosphere of joy and celebration, and people were thanking Allah for the victory. But as the Prophet Sabur happily reached his home and asked about his daughters, he was given a shocking piece of news. He was told, "While you were fighting on the battlefield of Badr, right here in Medina, your daughter Ruqayya was drawing her final breaths, and she is no longer in this world." The Prophet's war had 4 daughters. The eldest, Zainab, who lived in Mecca at the time. The second daughter, Ruqayya, the wife of Uthman, who had just passed away. The third daughter, Kulthum, whom the Prophet also married to Uthman after Ruqayya's passing, and his fourth and youngest daughter, whom he loved the most, Fatima. After winning Badr, as the situation of the Muslims slowly improved, marriage proposals for Fatima began arriving for the Prophet Pila in Medina, including proposals from Abu Bakr and Umar. But the Prophet PBUH rejected all these proposals. While all these proposals were coming for Fatima, Ali was sitting quietly at his home, and he hadn't spoken to the Prophet about marriage. Seeing this, a woman from his own tribe told Ali, "You should also go and ask the Prophet for his daughter Fatima's hand." But Ali replied, "What do I have? How can I send a proposal?" The woman reassured him, "I am certain that if you go to the Messenger of Allah, he will never refuse you." Encouraged by this, Ali finally went to the Prophet's house to ask for his youngest daughter's hand. But as soon as he sat in front of the Prophet, struck by his awe and aura, not a single word came out of Ali's mouth. Seeing Ali so nervous, the Prophet himself asked, "Ali, what is the matter? What do you want to say?" But Ali remained completely silent. The Prophet asked again, "Ali, tell me, what is it?" But again, no words came out. Seeing this, the Prophet asked directly, "Ali, have you come for Fatima's hand in marriage?" Hearing this, Ali looked up and in a nervous voice said, "Yes, but O Messenger of Allah, I have absolutely nothing." The Prophet replied, "Do you not have that shield of war? Go and sell it in the market. That will be the dowry for my daughter Fatima." Ali took the shield and went straight to the market, while the Prophet went to his daughter Fatima. He told her about Ali's proposal and asked if she agreed. It is said that Fatima remained silent, and the Prophet PBUH understood her silence as her consent. Meanwhile, when Ali reached the market to sell his shield, the richest man in Medina approached him, the Prophet's son-in-law, Uthman. Uthman immediately understood why Ali was selling the shield, so he bought it himself and gave Ali 400 silver coins. When a happy Ali turned to leave, Uthman stopped him, gifted the shield back to him, and said, "You will need this shield in the future." Ali gathered some more money and returned to the Prophet with almost 500 silver coins. This was the mahr for their wedding. At this time, Ali's father had passed away, and he had no brothers in Medina. Therefore, the companions in Medina stepped up to help him. One companion gave Ali a small house in Medina. Bilal went to the market to buy perfumes. Abu Bakr and Ammar bin Yasir bought furniture. Afterward, all the companions gathered in the Prophet's mosque. The Prophet, PH, personally officiated Ali's nikah, and dates were distributed among everyone. On the other side, female companions dressed Fatima as a bride. The Prophet gave his daughter some gifts, a few clothes, pillows stuffed with date palm leaves, 2 hand mills for grinding flour, and 2 earthen pots. And thus, the future Caliph of Islam, Ali, and the Prophet's youngest daughter, Fatima, were married. It was the most important and most simple wedding in Islamic history. A few days after the wedding, the Prophet visited his daughter Fatima's house and said to her, "Fatima, I have married you to a man from my family whom I love the most among my entire Ahl Bayt household." Ali's wedding had taken place, and life in Medina was completely normal. But far away in Mecca, every house mourned the defeat of Badr, and people wept bitterly over the deaths of their great leaders. The people of Mecca gathered at the house of their biggest leader, Abu Sufyan, and his wife Hind. Abu Sufyan's own son, Hanzala, was killed in Badr, and Hind's father, uncle, and brother had also died. To take revenge, the Meccans assembled an army 3 times larger than Badr. Just 1 year later, an army of 3,000 marched toward Medina. Hearing this, the Prophet led a Muslim army of 1,000 toward the battlefield of Uhud. As the 2 armies faced off, 300 hypocrites suddenly betrayed the Muslims and fled the battlefield. Now only 700 Muslims remained against an army of 3,000, facing a force 4 times their size. Furthermore, the Meccan army had a new general, Khalid bin Walid. This meant the Battle of Uhud was going to be far more dangerous than Badr. In this seemingly impossible battle, the Meccan champion Talha stepped forward and loudly challenged the Muslims to a duel. Seeing Talha's arrogant son-in-law, 25-year-old Ali, everyone drew their swords, and Ali did the same. But his sword was different from the rest. It didn't have 1 blade, but 2. This sword was gifted to Ali by the Prophet before the battle. It was longer and heavier than regular swords, and its name was Zulfiqar. As the fight began, within moments, Ali struck Talha with his sword, severing his leg in a single blow. Talha fell to the ground and tried to crawl away. Ali slowly walked toward him with his sword. The Meccan champion, who was boasting moments earlier, now begged Ali for his life in front of everyone. Ali raised his sword, and the Muslim army began to chant slogans. Ali swung his sword, but then turned and walked back to the Muslims. When the Muslims looked closely, they realized that when the man begged for his life, Ali didn't kill him. He spared him right there on the battlefield. With this, the second battle of Islam, the Battle of Uhud, officially commenced. The Muslim army fought with such passion that they quickly pushed the 4 times larger army back. Just like in Badr, the Meccan army began to abandon the battle and flee. Seeing this, the Muslim archers stationed on the mountain climbed down to collect the abandoned spoils of war. But this was the exact moment Meccan general Khalid bin Walid was waiting for. As soon as the archers came down, Khalid took his cavalry at full speed, sneaked behind the mountain, and launched a devastating attack on the Muslims from the rear. Seeing this, the fleeing Meccan army turned back. The Muslims were now trapped between 2 armies. The situation deteriorated so much that some enemies attacked the Prophet's own camp. The most dangerous part of Uhud was when a strange rumor suddenly spread across the battlefield. People started screaming that the Prophet had been martyred. The Muslims had been fighting with full passion, but upon hearing this news, some began to retreat, some sat on the ground crying, and some just stood frozen. Seeing this, Ali raised the flag of the Muslim army and shouted loudly, "If the messenger of Allah is no longer in this world, then what is the use of us living in it?" With this, Ali broke the scabbard of his sword, threw it away, and charged into the enemy army with his Zulfiqar. Shortly after, it was discovered that it was just a rumor, and the Prophet Peace was still standing firmly on the mountain. Hearing this, Ali and the other companions rushed to the Prophet PB at full speed and defended him bravely. The Muslims regrouped on the mountain and began throwing rocks down at the Meccans. Seeing the Muslims in a stable position, the Meccans realized they could do no more, so they abandoned Uhud and returned to Mecca. Thus, in the Battle of Uhud, neither the disbelievers won nor the Muslims. Uhud was the most difficult battle in the Prophet's PBU life because the highest number of Muslims, 70, were martyred, including the Prophet's P. Hamza. In this battle, Ali received 16 sword wounds. The Prophet PBU ordered all the martyrs to be buried at Uhud, after which the Muslims returned to Medina.